What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's happening with CPI moving forward, what's happening with the overall market, and why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have huge inflationary numbers coming out, not to mention the FOMC minutes. So we're having some very, very major data coming out that's going to affect this entire market. I'm going to break down what the data is, how it could affect us, and what you should be watching for. But let me first say that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends very soon in just 3 weeks. Anyways, let's talk about the market. How are things looking? So looking at SPY, we saw this thing kind of pop in the morning above 520. Then we got this big rug pull all the way down to the 514s. I called out 514 in my intraday video to watch that support on SPY to see if we bounce or not. Then we started to rebound and we got a nice recovery all the way back to the 519 area, which is where we ended up closing. But the thing is, does this guarantee anything for tomorrow? The answer is not necessarily, because tomorrow we have a lot of data coming in that's going to affect how this market ends up moving. So what is happening for tomorrow? What's going on with all this data? Tomorrow is CPI day. CPI is going to be very important. So CPI comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour before the market opens. All right. So we're expecting year over year CPI for all items to be at 3.4%. So we're expecting a slight increase in CPI to about 3.4%. It's a little bit above what we saw in the previous report. That's what we're expecting for all items. And then for core CPI year over year, we're expecting 3.7%. We're expecting to be below the previous report for a slight decrease. Now, looking at historical data, if you look right here, this is what the chart looks like for CPI for the last 12 reports. You could see that right here, we actually saw this very, very consistent downtrend in core CPI. I know it's very sticky, but it has been on a bit of a downtrend. There's a very good chance that this is going to likely continue. So I'm not too worried about core. It's been very consistent, if anything. But what is a little bit more concerning is all items CPI, as this tends to be heavily impacted by energy. So right here, between January and February, we got a slight increase. And when the March CPI report comes out tomorrow, are we about to see a continuation up? The market expects that, but the question is to what extent? And that's something I can't really answer. That depends on how the data looks. That depends on different factors. But one concern I do have is this. When you look at CPI versus crude futures, you tend to see a high correlation between these different metrics. So for instance, right here, even back in like 2006, as crude was going up, so was CPI. They came down together here, came up together a bit, came down and up and down and up, and then basically down together. And as of recently, we saw a slight uptick in crude. This is for the month of April. Crude oil prices have gone up. We're seeing the cost of a barrel of oil going up. We're seeing gas prices going up. And we're also seeing energy kind of like inflating that sector. So this implies that there could be a move to an increase in energy, which could increase CPI. And there's a very good chance that's going to happen. The market, in fact, is expecting this, but I just don't know to the exact extent how much higher things are going to get. So I'll talk about that in just a second. Here's why this is all significant. So right now, the market is saying that there's a 97.4% chance that the Fed is going to keep rates the same during the next FOMC meeting, okay? But for June, during the June meeting, there's a 56% chance the Fed is going to cut one time by 25 basis points, according to what the market is pricing in. There's a 42% chance rates stay the same. Now, I believe that this is going to be adjusted a lot depending on CPI, and the next two CPIs that come out until this are going to have a big effect on this. So if CPI is hot, this might start going down and this might start going up, and that's going to be a little bit more in line with the whole notion that the Fed is going to keep rates higher for longer and inflation is still stalling and the Fed has more work to do. But if we get a good CPI, this could go up a little bit. This could start decreasing. The Fed is going to be in a better place. So we'll just have to wait and see. Lastly, I just want to go over this data before I break down some more expectations about CPI, how I think they may end up looking, and then I'm going to talk about the charts in just a second. So as far as the market is going, we're still quite greedy despite the anticipation of CPI. Other indicators are quite greedy. The puts and call positioning is still going up a bit as we're starting to see more puts being bought amidst CPI, just slightly. The VIX is coming down a bit, but it's still above the daily the daily 50 EMA. So it's still holding up quite well. The VIX has not officially collapsed. it could continue to uptrend, so we have to wait for confirmation. But this still adds on to the risk that the market could still downtrend more. So what do we expect for CPI? When I talk about a hot CPI in this video, we're just going to focus on CPI for all items for now, just for simplicity reasons. So core CPI is most likely going to be aligned with expectations at 3.7%. I'm not as focused on that. What concerns me more is inflation year over year for all items. Okay, we're expecting 3.4%. If it's above 3.4%, 3.5, 3.6%, that's going to be a bit more bearish for the markets. CPI is going to be hot in that case. If CPI is cool below expectations and we get a number like 3.3% or below that, that could be bullish for the markets. The market's going to like that. The Fed is going to be in a good place. How do I think it's going to look? Honestly, guys, I think core is going to be okay, but I'm not sure about all items. That's very tricky to predict. I expect there to be an increase, so it might be around 3.3% or higher than that. I'm not 100% sure exactly, but I do expect at least 3.3%. And we'll have to wait and see what the data looks like just to get what the big move is going to be. So what do I predict is going to happen? Honestly, guys, I don't truly know what's going to happen. It depends on the data. But if we get a decent CPI tomorrow, if CPI is below expectations and CPI is cool, SPY could push and try to fill this imbalance all the way up here and push to 523 plus. It's going to be a big move to the upside coming. If it's the opposite, inflation is going up because of energy, and we get a rug pull, we could be coming all the way back down to 512. Honestly, guys, it's a big move coming to SPY. We'll just have to wait and see. But just know that SPY has been struggling to break above 520, and it's been very flat for the last couple of days, going back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to be very patient on this one and give it the time it needs, and we'll see what the move ends up being. For Tesla, we have a nice uptrend that's being respected. One could argue that Tesla's forming a wedge, but regardless of any of that, the chart is still bullish. The chart looks bullish. It looks like it's going to try to push higher based off technicals alone. Tesla looks like it wants to go up to 182. That's my honest assessment of it. However, nothing is guaranteed because of CPI and also the FOMC minutes, which I'm going to talk more about later on tomorrow. But if we're bullish on Tesla, 182 is easily going to come after CPI. If CPI gives us a rug pull, Tesla's coming back down towards 170.5 most likely, or even below that. So just be careful. But as of right now, if we ignore CPI, Tesla's chart is bullish. It has potential to go higher. It does favor that, but it also depends on CPI, so we'll just have to wait and see. The QQQ is very stationary, just like SPY, very indecisive, waiting for CPI. If we get a good CPI, this thing is going to push all the way up to about 446. If CPI is hot and above expectations, we could be coming back down to 438, if not 436. I'm in the middle, just like how the QQQ is kind of stuck within this range, so give it the time it needs. For Aapl, we're attempting to push higher. If CPI launches the market up higher, Aapl could push from 170.9. If you get a rug pull, we're going to be coming down to 168. As of right now, Apple's trying to base at this 168 area. It's trying to push higher. There's a good chance it might try to rebound, but just to be safe, depends on CPI. I'm not going to guarantee anything. For Nvda, unfortunately, the chart looks more bearish. It has been downtrending quite a bit for many, many weeks, and there is a risk of it dropping lower. If we're bullish after CPI, look at this imbalance fill towards 872. If we're bearish, we're going to be coming all the way down to 830, if not 800 flat. And we could be coming all the way down to our 200 EMA on, I believe it's the 4-hour time frame, which aligns with 800 or so. So there is a risk of more downside on Nvidia, but just to be safe, we'll wait and see. The chart looks bearish, but just to be safe, we'll watch and see what CPI causes. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple more and try to be a little bit quicker with this. So for Palantir, we look a little bit more bearish. We've been downtrending a bit slowly. The chart suggests we're going to be coming all the way down to 22.4, if not 22 flat again. The chart looks a bit more bearish, but when it comes to the other factors involving this, CPI could cause either direction. If we're bullish after CPI, we'll watch 23.3. If we're bearish, watch 22. The chart looks bearish, but CPI will affect that as well. Supermicro looks bearish. It's been downtrending quite a bit. If CPI launches this higher, we'll look for 940. If CPI gives us the rug pull, we're going to be coming all the way down to about 850 a share. It's a real possibility. I'm personally in the middle, but I just want to note that the chart looks bearish on Supermicro so far. It does favor a downside, but just to be safe, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see what else is there. RIVN. On RIVN, I called out a potential move to the upside because of the fact that we entered some key support at 10, and I expected some buyers to step in. We have resistance now at 10.7 on RIVN. If we're bullish after CPI and break that $11 is coming, if you reject off this, we're going to be coming all the way down towards this imbalance at 10.23. Overall, RIVN is in the middle. It is bullish looking. If anything, it does look like it could push higher. But just to be safe, you have to wait and see what happens with CPI. So that's going to be key as well. For SOFI, SOFI is on a bit of an uptrend, looking bullish. Nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. Looks like it's trying to get up to about 8.5, at least $8. So it looks bullish. The chart looks bullish. I think it could push higher. I do favor a move to past 8, but just to be safe, let's see what CPI causes. If you get a rug pull, we're coming back down to 7.5. If we're bullish, we're going to be breaking past 8, then 8.5 is coming. I'm in the middle in terms of what I think CPI will cause, but in terms of the chart, it looks bullish to me. For AMD, we're also kind of stuck being very, very stationary. If CPI launches us higher, we're going to be looking at 176 to be retested at the 200 EMA. And if we launch downwards, you're going to be looking for a move all the way down to 160 flat, basically. I'm in the middle with AMD, but the chart looks very indecisive, so I want to give it some more time. For ARM, we're looking a bit more bearish. It looks like it might actually fall to about 124 again, but it also depends on which way we break from here. If CPI launches us, 130 is coming. If you get a rug pull, we're going to be dropping all the way down to 124. The chart does look a bit more bearish after this liquidity grab, so it does favor a move to the downside, but just to be safe, we'll wait and see. Coinbase came down quite a bit, but we're approaching the support around 240. So we're going to be watching this carefully very, very soon. I think that if we're bullish after CPI, we're going to be launching back up to at least 254. If we're bearish, we're going to be coming all the way down to about 236. And we'll have to see how it goes. But honestly, guys, this could go either way. The chart does look a bit more bearish on the 4-hour. It does favor bearish a bit more. But just to be safe, we will see what happens with CPI. For Amazon's on a bit of an uptrend right here. If we're bullish, you want to see this thing try to push all the way up to about 188. If we're bearish, you want to see it come all the way down towards 184, then eventually 182. It is looking a bit more bearish on the 4-hour time frame. It does favor the downside, but we'll see what CPI causes. The chart does look bearish, but I'll have to wait and see. For Meta, it came down quite a bit to about 507, the exact level we called out before it came back up. If we're bullish on Meta, we're going to be pushing all the way up to about 525. If we're bearish, we're going to be coming all the way down to about 507 all over again. It is in the middle right now. It's very, very close to each of those targets. It's about like 7 to 10 points in between them. So I would say be patient and we'll see what happens. The chart is a bit more bearish as we've been downtrending, but just to be safe, we'll see what CPI causes. That is going to be key. Microsoft is also very indecisive. If we're bullish, look for 430. If we're bearish, we'll be coming all the way down to 422. It all depends on that. Google is still looking bullish from a technical standpoint. It looks like it's going to try to get to 160. CPI could affect this. If CPI gives us the rug pull, 155 could come. If not, 160 plus is on the table. It does look bullish, though, and it does favor a move to the upside. The VIX is coming down a bit. We also have this imbalance down here. The question is the VIX going to come down a bit more than bounce, or is the VIX about to rebound from here? That I'm not too sure about. We're approaching the 50 EMA. It's going to be our key support. I'm not sure if the VIX is going to bounce off this and the market gets rug pull or not. The best thing to do is be very patient and see. But I want to note that the VIX has a nice uptrend being respected, holding support nicely. So there's no confirmation that the market's about to, start to really break out yet. And we have to wait and see by tomorrow. It's still on an uptrend. The VIX is still pushing higher, so we'll have to wait and see. The dollar has a nice double bottom-like structure. If the dollar breaks above 104.28 and starts pushing higher, this will be bearish for the stock market. If it fails and loses 104, we turn bearish on the dollar and bullish for the markets. As of right now, the dollar is favoring a bounce, so it does favor the market potentially coming down. But just to be safe, we'll wait and see. So as you guys can tell, a lot of things are all over the place, but it all depends on the data coming out for tomorrow. I went over what the charts are suggesting. We're seeing some stocks looking bullish, such as like Tesla and the others, but it also depends on CPI, so make sure you keep that factor in the back of your minds. All right, guys, so thank you for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow to report how CPI goes. Take care, guys. Hopefully this very, very quick video was simple and very, very easy to understand. So I'll see you guys very soon on the next one tomorrow morning. Thank you for listening. Have a great day and peace out.